Hey, what's up, mafias? Welcome back to Commute. And in this video, I am joined by Anupam. He is the founder of Digia, which is known for its server-driven apps. And this would be an interesting take on the server-driven UI, more about Compose, startups in general, and you will learn a lot. Hopefully, you guys really enjoy it. And if you did, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And of course, let's get started. Yeah, I usually start off this podcast by asking everyone this question: how do you define a stable life for yourselves?
Okay. Uh, Normally, a stable life would be doing what I love most,
Mm-hmm.
at least for 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm a founder, it can happen 7 days a week also,
Mm-hmm.
but at least 5 days a week, something that you really enjoy. And
Mm-hmm.
clear indicator of that is when Monday is about to come, you're
Mm-hmm.
not feeling dreaded. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I have to do this again. That
Mm-hmm.
is as simple as that because work occupies at least 60% of your overall life till
Mm-hmm.
you're working. So work becomes that much important.
Mm-hmm.
Then I do like to spend time with other things, which is my family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a social person, so I like to go out, enjoy with my friends. I
Mm-hmm.
personally like to go on physical activities like trekking,
Mm-hmm.
playing sports. All those kind of things are important. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if those any one of them are not there in the life, overall
Mm-hmm.
quality of life diminishes. So
Mm-hmm.
that is my way to look at it. To have a
Mm-hmm.
good time, do something that you love,
Mm-hmm.
enjoy something physical which makes you happy, and you enjoy that also, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
spend time with your family, doing
Mm-hmm.
silly things, playing chess, fighting over trivial things, making breakfast. All those kind of small things
Mm-hmm.
really matters. That is how I
Mm-hmm.
see my life as of today.
That's nice because I usually ask this question because I want to know more about the person in general, because a lot of people I've interviewed are also like founders and also people who are working in the industry as a full-time employees, and they have a certain differentiation in how do they value their stable life overall. For example, founders value stable life in a general because uh, they don't have a concept of stable life because they're constantly working 7 days a week, whereas employees tend to get 2 days a week off
Yes.
in whatever they're doing. And I think when you are a founder, you have to commit to it's. I think so. Naval Ravikant said it that you have to find an idea that you will be willing to work your at least 10 years of your life, because it will be a long lasting stage, and if you get bored easily, it's not a good idea to work on. So that's I think so that's what founders are looking for when they're working on any idea. And yeah, as for the stable life, of course, everyone enjoys spending time with their family and playing silly games. So that's the thing. As your story, what's your story? How did you actually go from like becoming a co-founder? How do you come from like where did you go in the college? What kind of degree did you take? How do you end up in app development industry? Give me your background.
Sure. Um, so I went to NMIT Jaipur.
Mm-hmm.
I passed out in 2014. And it was 2022. I was not doing that good academically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was looking for ways to add skills so that I can leverage them later. So I
Mm-hmm.
came around with something, there was something new called as Android app development course by HP
Mm-hmm.
during summers in back then in my hometown in Allahabad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it sounded okay. Price was okay, something that I liked. कि हाँ भाई मोबाइल ऐप डेवलपमेंट कर सकते हैं और it was talk of the town.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny fact was nobody else was doing it in terms of going deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied there. I went through the training for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I really enjoyed that training by HP. I
Mm-hmm.
did well. I did well and became whatever person who was doing well in the batch.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was later that summer I was invited in the HP headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say for a facilitation ceremony to
Mm-hmm.
become student brand ambassador in your college, and a chance to interview for an internship at HP. So I
Mm-hmm.
became a brand ambassador. My
Mm-hmm.
interview didn't went well, so I didn't get an
Mm-hmm.
internship with HP.
Mm-hmm.
But just that becoming that student, let's say brand ambassador in my college, I used that opportunity really well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I talked about it in my college. Luckily, saw कि, hey, this is Android as a whole, something that only I was doing in my college. So how do I share it with more? So as
Mm-hmm.
part of computer society in my college, I
Mhm.
asked them, can I take lectures? Normally this doesn't happen. People do take lectures, but these are one-off lectures, which is talking about one topic once, twice. That is what normally people do, even senior people. I was in third year, late third year. People used
Mhm.
to do that for first year, second year students. But I asked them to, can I conduct a longer series so that I can go much deeper in this. And I was technically not a very bright student person till that moment. Yes, I used to be connected with a lot of folks, but I was not technically the top tier guy. It's a 9.5 pointers academically, but those kind of things were not there. Just had a raw
Mhm.
passion for Android, and that is something that I used to talk about a
Mhm.
lot. And people sort of gravitated towards that,
Mhm.
gravitated towards that. And I still remember that instance of when we announced, hey, there will be this class. All you need to do is come and sign up, and this is the schedule over email. We used to communicate over email. Uh,
Mhm.
on first day, we used to call LTs. LTs were lecture halls.
Mhm.
LT used to have a capacity of 220 seated capacity,
Mhm.
uh, and people, for fun, for interest, and for learning, almost 400 people joined in my first
Okay.
class.
Mhm.
And the entire LT was filled. People were sitting in the stairs. It was a very different feeling.
Mhm.
Uh, Now the pressure was on me. Hey, how do I do justice to all these people
Mhm.
who have agreed to spend an hour and combine more than 20 hours in the next few weeks?
Mhm.
So I really went all in. There were very less literature around back in 2022. Internet was not cheap. It was not that easy to find good resources. So I really went deep. A couple of
Mhm.
books which were available. So I went deep, created, simplified them, and presented this lecture in a fun, easy, and let's say way to digest. And it also
Mhm.
helped me because I became a little better at what I was communicating, because you get to learn when you teach the best. uh,
Mhm.
so I did that. So that went well. There's a batch which passed out per se, and people started going deeper. And the
Mhm.
first outcome of this batch was we created the first mobile app for our college, for
Mhm.
LNMIT mobile app. That was the first app that we created.
Mhm.
Um, we had another batch in the next semester, the same interest. And by
Mhm.
the end, 70 people were there who completed the entire batch. And the output of
Mhm.
that batch was few folks. We used to have a college fest, Vivacity. We had an app
Mhm.
for Vivacity also. And because
Mhm.
Vivacity was so relatively famous,
Mhm.
everybody had that app in the campus. So everybody, in a way, knew who were doing a couple of things for college, and everybody wanted to be part of it. And
Mhm.
it accelerated from there, with
Mhm.
our head of computer science department asking us out to come in. How do we plan this for future, let's say for the college, and going deeper and building core competence in college by bringing in an industry expert, etc., etc. So that happened. So that moment happened. It got formalized. I took it for, let's say, 1.5 years till I was there, and then new people started to come into picture who liked mobile app development. We used to
Mhm.
funnily call it MAD Club, Mobile App Development Club, back then.
Okay. Okay.
So you are mad, that those kind of lingos that we used to
Mhm.
use in college. So you accelerated. And the most satisfying thing was, of the couple of two batches that I personally took, there were four people who were placed after I passed out from those batches in
Mhm.
mobile app development as a field. So I personally take that as an achievement. Hey, was able to add some value to folks so that they can get
Mhm.
placed in couple of companies
Mhm.
because they were part of those batches. Apart from all the other things that we did,
Mhm.
from that I believe it got solidified that this is something that I wanted to do. So I got
Mhm.
placed in a company which wanted a mobile app developer. I was okay, so I got placed there.
Mhm.
We used to call it Black and Green. It is based in Gurgaon, and since then I
Mhm.
have been in Gurgaon. The first company was Black and Green. It was a
Mhm.
um, productized service company. So
Mhm.
we used to build telephony apps for Airtel, MTN, etc. across the world. That is what we did.
Mhm.
After a year, I jumped ship to a very small startup called as Blue Gave. I was there for around a year. We built an app called as Murmur,
Mhm.
um, uh, and that app was very simple news digest, very similar to what you see in Shorts now. Very similar to
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
It was much richer in terms of its visual aspect, very high quality videos and a very high quality images which were created in house, and those were served.
Mhm.
I used to build that. It got selected into Google's first app accelerator uh,
Mhm.
program. But funny enough, post the program wrapped up, founders realized that this will not scale and they shut down the company.
Mhm.
So immediately, so we
Mhm.
got to see the high and rise almost in couple of months. Absolute high
Mhm.
of us being doing very good things, planning to go to SF, etc., to absolute low of, let's say, you're out of job in couple of uh, months.
Mhm.
Then I shopped around, gave interviews. I
Mhm.
got selected into three companies.
Mhm.
One of them was urban company,
Mhm.
which was based in Gurgaon. Other couple of them were in Chhatarpur. And
Mhm.
only reason I chose urban company back then was because I didn't have to take metro every day. Uh,
Mhm.
and that choice became very very critical and determinal in terms of the career that I had post that, because I
Mhm.
stayed at urban company for 7 years.
Mhm.
I joined them when they were really small. I joined them when they were in the basement, and I got to
Mhm.
see the journey of a good product company as it scales
Mhm.
from absolute uh, low numbers to
Mhm.
become, let's say, talk of the town by having IPL ads. I got a chance to see through that journey, and I was
Mhm.
personally responsible to take care of customer mobile apps. So
Mhm.
in terms of brand visibility output, I was given that responsibility, and I scaled my career based upon that. One of the key aspects at one company was you had to evolve every 6 months as a person and as and what output that you give, else it will become very difficult place for you to scale up. So you had to
Mhm.
scale up every 6 months, not only in
Mhm.
terms of pure technical skills, in terms of raw impact that you can create.
Mhm.
Um, Urban company had a very good ESOP program also. And they were generous in terms of people who were staying and then going deeper as the company grew. So we did that, and that is the reason we are able to build what we are building currently. And
Mhm.
around 2019, we faced a problem at Urban Company because we had
Mhm.
crossed 1 million plus customers.
Mhm.
There are more than 500K active customers on a DAO level, and at a month level, multiple millions
Mhm.
were there. Companies to spend good amount of money in technology and marketing.
Mhm.
Um, and customer apps actually became a bottleneck
Mhm.
because how we were building mobile applications, which is raw native mobile application, there's one key
Mhm.
problem with them, which is every single change has to go through a review and a, let's say, acceptance cycle first by Play Store and App Store,
Mhm.
and then it has to go through an adoption cycle by your users.
Mhm.
So 40% of your users will adopt it very soon because um they have auto install triggered, but
Mhm.
almost 60% of your users uh,
Mhm.
will not do that, and it
Okay.
become a determinant to our success because um, we used to have 5 to 10 apps versions always live
Mhm.
on our for our app, and every single chain, if there was a bug, it used to take at least 3 weeks to get adopted. If there
Mhm.
was a new feature, it used to take more than 3 weeks to get adopted for 80% crossing the 80% margin of adoption, and we had to
Mhm.
solve this from first principle.
Mhm.
In order to solve this from first principle, we had to think deeply. We have to think of a way ki how can we ship mobile apps with fine grained quality, fine grained control, and achieve adoption very quickly. And that is when we double clicked and realized, ki, hey, we can use a paradigm called a server driven UI,
Mhm.
and we can marry React Native on top of it and
Mhm.
achieve output of both. We can have very good high quality mobile applications
Mhm.
and ship it really fast so that adoption is taken care of. So that is
Mhm.
what we did. So we built this framework along with other people. Obviously, I used to take care of
Mhm.
adoption in mobile apps predominantly. There was a different team which built uh, the raw framework. We used to call it Orion. It is still available for people to consume and learn from. And we also
Mhm.
learned from a lot of folks. While
Mhm.
we were researching for this, how do we solve this? We looked, and funny enough, we used to also run a podcast.
Mhm.
We used to call it Android Idiots back
Okay.
then. It was all
Mhm.
SoundCloud. It was not YouTube first. It was all
Mhm.
SoundCloud, etc. And we got inspired from Fragmented back then. Fragmented
Okay.
was a
Mhm.
podcast. It was an all audio podcast. We
Mhm.
got to interact with good folks from LinkedIn, Airbnb, from India Zomato,
Mhm.
add friends in CureFit,
Mhm.
Flipkart. We asked this problem, how are they solving this also? and we realized
Mhm.
all of them actually have built some shape and form of server-driven UI platform
Mhm.
in-house. And that is when the thought of, okay, uh, they have it, they have it, we are building it, but not any company can. Not every company can do the same, because it used to take good amount of time, money, and expertise to do so.
Mhm.
So that is the thought which got triggered in my mind, and that is the thought. Uh, that is the thought. Uh, that is the thought that I talked to with my co-founders, which is my Vivek and Tushar, because they
Mhm.
used to take care of other part, which is iOS, and Vivek used to work with me and app infra.
Mhm.
These problems were very relatable, and that
Mhm.
is when we jumped ship. Actually, started Digia, which is how we build a mobile app development platform, so
Mhm.
that any company of any size, example, let's say Hitesh wants to build a mobile app and he wants
Mhm.
to build it in a server-driven way. He
Mhm.
doesn't has to create, let's say, the raw framework himself, because it takes good amount of time, money, and expertise to do so. So
Mhm.
with that thought, we started DJ, and with
Mhm.
that thought, we have scaled. We have helped multiple companies in India to become server driven immediately, and we are
Mhm.
scaling now abroad
Mhm.
with the same framework.
Mhm.
So that has been my story.
That's super nice. Like I love the idea that you, going back to the section that you talked about, that you always talked about app development in general, in during your college days. And I think that the passion actually follows, because I've seen that most of the app developers do not jump into web development just because they enjoy app development overall. And I think most of the app developers have a passion for it. That's why they got into it. And they usually talk about it again and again and again, because they are just usually passionate about it. And yeah, as for the 7 years of urban clap and starting in startups, like I always wondered, like it's very easy to just sit in a company that is already stable and to solve the given bugs by you get the bugs from a product manager, you or make maybe a feature from the product manager, and release it in the public. But starting in a startup where you might not even have a UI UX designer or maybe a product manager. So like what do you suggest someone who is into this phase? Like should you stay in a startup like as long as 7 years or more to be there to actually see a startup grow, or should you be looking for much more stable jobs if you have that kind of inclination? Or yeah, what's your thinking? Why should you stay in a startup and why shouldn't you?
Sure, I'll give my two words here. Uh, so my opinion is, before 30, you should prioritize learning.
Mm-hmm.
That is my opinion. And the best and sure short way to accelerate that practical learning, not only what we learn in our college, which makes our base, is to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do something really well and really fast, there is only one way to do it in the current world, which is
Mm-hmm.
joining a startup, either building one or joining one.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the reason I have always been part of startups, and now I have started my own, because that is my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it's absolutely okay to join something which is stable, but if
Mm-hmm.
that is something that excites you and you have other career plans. But
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be in tech, that is a
Mm-hmm.
decision number one. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to build a career in tech, not only a job in tech, the difference is, uh, career in tech, your impact has to increase every couple of days from a magnitude of at least 10. That is
Mm-hmm.
how I see, and then you are worth a lot of big bucks per
Mm-hmm.
se, as you scale,
Mm-hmm.
versus somebody who simply shops around for 20% delta. Very simply
Mm-hmm.
put. So if your opinion is, I need to be worth good amount of money after some time,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to, let's say, build that core competence which is valued, so that I'm worth that much.
Mm-hmm.
In a way to accelerate that journey is to be part of startups. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're lucky, that startup will scale, and you will get more and more and more responsibility very soon, so that your
Mm-hmm.
journey accelerates. That is my opinion. It's absolutely fine to join a stable startup, a stable company, if you don't want that journey, because this journey is not
Mm-hmm.
easy. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
they do this journey because it is easy. It is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
It will demand you good amount of hours. It will demand you to going, sacrificing few things also. So but
Mm-hmm.
if the end goal is to build a long career,
Mhm.
and build that confidence in house. Hey, I can join anytime, anywhere. The opportunity is right there.
Mhm.
And that confidence comes from pure raw execution. And
Mhm.
startups execute the most because it's a matter of survival for startups,
Mhm.
not simply solving a ticket. It's a matter of survival. Join a
Mhm.
startup then. If you're not, it isn't. If that is not something that you want in life, it's absolutely okay to join something where at least your career will scale. Your career should not stagnate.
Mhm.
I don't want to name call a few companies,
Mhm.
but there are companies where you can have a dead job, which is doing same thing for next 4 years.
Mhm.
So think every deeply every couple of years, if this is the right journey that I'm taking, if I'm not accelerating, because tech is accelerating more much faster than couple of
Mhm.
years, and
Mhm.
especially with onset of AI now, your
Mhm.
career should be moving faster, or at least more responsibility should be coming in to you based upon your own quality, at least in at least couple of years. If that is not happening, something has to be corrected. Something can be a different company with clear goals, or
Mhm.
something can be a smaller company with more pace, or something can be you looking at your career, if this is something that you want in life. Something has to be corrected a couple of years.
Mhm.
A couple of years is the time frame. Be okay jumping board and going all in for a couple of years in a startup. Don't worry if it doesn't work out, uh,
Mhm.
because if it scale, it will be a journey of lifetime, which was similar to me, which I was lucky to be part of. If no, you will learn so much that you will simply accelerate much ahead, based upon versus your peers who have not taken that journey.
Mhm.
So that is my opinion.
I get it. Like, understand like this perspective because I've seen that I'm a part of a startup now, and it's like you're forced to learn and adapt more often because you're you're wearing multiple hats at this point because you're not only an Android developer now, you are supporting backend, you're hosting your own server, now you are actually a product manager, actually talking to the users, trying to find out which feature actually builds upon your app or whatever you're building. So I think startups are eventually the most fun to work in, and they will eventually. Actually, I was actually scared of backend development because they. It sounds such a big word because backend. Oh my god, there's so much server. There's so many things. What does it even mean? As an Android developer coming from front end, it's very difficult to get into this world. But when you go into a startup and you just are forced to actually host a server for the first time, you realize, oh no, it's not that tough. You can actually do it by yourself. And eventually, that will give you maybe your own ideas to start a startup. And yeah, that's what I think at least. And as for startups overall, what do you think? Like, I think joining a startup versus starting your own, there are two differentiations that what my thinking is that even if you are a part of startup, you have a payday coming and you know that a payday might come, but in case you are starting a startup, you have no clue if a payday might come or not, because you eventually have to pay to your employees because they're a part of your team. So what's your thinking behind, what's the distinction between these two? When should you go for the startup, when should you work in on?
Fair enough. So don't start any startup just for the sake of the founder tag. That
Mm-hmm.
founder tag is not um, easy, very simply put.
Mm-hmm.
At least till you establish PMF and you scale a little bit, it is not going to let you sleep well. It is not going to let you be patient with people. It will not let you do a lot of things that you value in your quality of life normally. It will not.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, if you're not building something that people want, and they're
Mm-hmm.
willing to pay, you
Mm-hmm.
will be wasting good amount of time. That is
Mm-hmm.
main. And everybody knows statistics of how many startups fail, how many startups succeed, how many of them make unicorn. All those things are public. People
Mm-hmm.
can research about it. uh,
Mm-hmm.
but if it and so the startups are not only about passion.
Mhm,
Startups are about making money, uh,
mhm,
money by creating something which does not exist in the world, and you're building that with your raw passion and your skill, and
mhm,
the market is willing to pay. If
mhm,
those things are not established, please don't start something. It's absolutely okay to be on a good job. Very simply put, number of people who had made money by working for something which already works is far greater than number of people who have made money by creating something new. Yes, people who create something new make more money. That is, and they get glorified more. That, yes, that is true. But that number is absolutely skewed, very very skewed. So don't do it just for the tag. Do it because something is willing to pay, because it's a problem which exists and nobody else is solving it. If those kind of simple thing doesn't exist, please don't start something. Something. It would be, you would be much better placed by working for something like a one company, like Zomato, like Flipkart from India, who are fast paced even at a decent scale, and you accelerate your professional journey. You will be much better placed, become much more, and yes, in order to enter there, you have to become much more competent also, because product facing companies have different standard versus, let's say, other side of the coin. To have that standard, enter product facing company, see what it takes to build a product first. That would be my opinion. Yes, if you are absolute, if you have a groundbreaking something and people are throwing money at you, go ahead at it. And because people are throwing money at you either as customers or as investors, then it's okay to take a couple of years of your life and doing something which can be truly can become a big breakthrough. Everything else, the journey is not trivial. Don't do it for the tag. Do it for the outcome, or the difference that you will make into other people's life. Because if you don't do that, you will not be able to capture the small value, which will be your outcome. So that is my take.
Because I've seen that like startups in general are very difficult to understand because if you don't have a problem that actually you love each and every day, you are inspired to work on it, you will eventually fail because you might get tired of it or not such a big problem, and that will impact how your product is built. So that's my thinking at least. And as for the company, yeah, what's your thinking about like? I wanted to know like how the native development is going in the company. For example, I think how's it separate from building native apps like from in Kotlin
Sure,
coding? How does it separate from?
sure. Uh, okay, so let's take an example of um, home screen of Flipkart. Okay,
Mm-hmm,
in home screen there are a lot of banners in Flipkart that they show in big billion days. Okay,
mm-hmm,
and imagine Flipkart has not built server driven UI. Flipkart already
mm-hmm,
has server driven UI in
mm-hmm,
place. Okay, they didn't have it. If they have to add one more component which looks a little different in
mm-hmm,
that home screen during
mm-hmm,
big billion days, this is the workflow that they would have to execute. Let's say big billion day was on 1st of August. At Flipkart scale, to achieve 80% plus adoption, they will take at least 6 weeks to reach 80% adoption. So July is gone, mid of June. So they have to send this stable release out, and because it's a very big team, they need to send this change to QA for a couple of weeks so that they can run test on multiple devices. So a couple of weeks off there. In
mm-hmm,
order for a change to reflect on 1st of August, they need to do make that change natively and submit on 31st of May,
mm-hmm,
and hope that everything works well.
mm-hmm,
That is what native development in terms of life cycle is, in terms of once code development is done.
mm-hmm,
Versus now, because Flipkart is server driven UI, they can do it a night before by raw configuration on their dashboard, and that change will reflect to all of their customers.
mm-hmm,
That is the difference in terms of workflows. So, as company scales, how you build mobile application always changes.
mm-hmm,
Okay, the raw source can be native, raw technology can be native.
mm-hmm,
Example, currently we heavily leverage Flutter.
mm-hmm,
Heavily leverage Flutter. So our SDK is public. People can go and try it. It's
mm-hmm,
there on pub.dev,
mm-hmm,
and our native SDKs are also coming
mm-hmm,
on Android and iOS, because server-driven UI is a paradigm. It's not
mm-hmm,
a raw technology. It's a paradigm. How it's a different way to build mobile application.
mm-hmm,
So what happens is you give configurations, let's say either through a dashboard or a CMS that you have in-house, or something which is much deeper in terms of developer workflow like Digia.
Mhm.
and you give that output. That output gets saved in some format. It can be JSON, XML, etc. That
Mhm.
is served over the air whenever a user opens their app. It gets saved in your mobile application, and that those SDKs which have saved this output, then
Mhm.
they will spin out activities, visual view controllers, widgets, and different components, irrespective of your React Native, Android, it doesn't matter. This is how
Mhm.
the workflow differs.
Mhm.
Differs in terms of raw technology. You need somebody needs to write that code. This is as server driven UI is a lot of SDK based. A lot of things are standardized. In raw native code, you have to start always from scratch. Obviously, you can have your UI libraries, things like that, which help you accelerate your development,
Mhm.
make them tokenized. Eventual journey is you standardize so much that it can be powered through your
Mhm.
server. So that is a journey that a company takes. Native development is very good when you want to achieve and leverage native performance in
Mhm.
terms of native libraries.
Mhm.
Example, if you want to do something with camera X
Mhm.
or build something using Wi-Fi direct, native should be your choice. But
Mhm.
if you're building something like Flipkart, which doesn't need these things,
Mhm.
every use case is standardized.
Mhm.
Honestly, there is no point going much deeper and building everything natively. That's why these companies leverage server-driven UI.
Mhm.
Server-driven UI. So if you're going to use native libraries a lot, use that. If you're going to not, if your use case is standardized, use server-driven UI. But if your use case is very hybrid, that is where what we have learned and solved for it, which is can we build hybrid app? Half of them is native, half of them is server-driven UI, and you can build anything that you imagine. You can use server-driven UI components in native and native components in server-driven UI dashboard. Use
Mhm.
DJ. That is what we have
Mhm.
solved.
Mhm.
That is how
Like,
they structurally differ a lot.
okay. Like, I just wanted to know a little bit more around server-driven UI, like for the audience as well. Like, can you break down a server-driven UI in sense? Like, how does it play a part when you're trying to develop, when you're trying to write code? How does Digia make the whole process? I just wanted to know.
Okay, so I'll talk about the paradigm predominantly. So server-driven UI is not a new paradigm. Okay,
Mhm.
it started obviously in SF. LinkedIn was the first company to use it in their web first. And
Mhm.
Airbnb was the first large-scale company to use it natively on their mobile.
Mhm.
When they were very React Native heavy, they still do it even though they are native heavy.
Mhm.
Uh, so what happens is, what are the things that you need in a mobile application? First is your design system, where your tokens reside. Let's say uh, your design tokens of the color that you're going to use, your typography tokens where you're going to use the font typeface in its values. That is step number one. Step number two is, let's say, what are the API calls that you're going to make, or the data sources. They can be native data sources of something from your database, or it can be an API call, or it can be a dumb JSON, or it can be a file. Those data sources are there. Then you have logic, which is there for your app, which is very specific. Okay, hey, um, uh, I make the first letter capital using this logic, or there is an encryption logic, etc., etc., or there are a lot of code utils which are very specific to a company. And
Mhm.
then there is your UI, where you have your components, you have your pages, you have your journeys, and then your entire app.
Mhm.
What happens is in server driven UI, all of this gets standardized. And all of this can be powered through an API call, one
Mhm.
API call, in terms of getting the what is possible. And your UI, UX, and your logic, those three core pillars are coming from server. So what
Mhm.
happens is now is instead of waiting for uh, and this doesn't means uh, new code or new capability can be shipped through server driven UI. What does that mean? Yes, if you have not, your SDK doesn't support Bluetooth as of today.
Mhm.
uh, Play Store and App Store policies are designed to, whenever there is new capability in code, it has to go through Play Store and App Store. So imagine you doing one release a quarter. Whenever you are scaling up, new Android version, new iOS version, etc., those will happen. But
Mhm.
95% of the use cases are UI, UX, and logic changes for every company of every size. Every size.
Mhm.
Companies currently wait for App Store and Play Store to first accept those changes and then wait for their users to adopt those changes. Then they start
Mhm.
their experiment. All of that goes away because everything is coming from server. Your user
Mhm.
opens their app, there is a config fetch call which checks,
Mhm.
hey, if there is a new version of the config which is available. If that new version is available, that new version gets fetched, gets stored locally, and next time customer will open their app, whenever they open, they have a new
Mhm.
version already there in their phone. So they
Mhm.
don't they never have to go on Play Store and App Store. You don't have to send those ugly update your app blockers ever, because those changes are already there for your customers to consume. And you can control the new UI, new UX, and even new logic through server.
Mhm.
That is the paradigm per se.
Mhm.
Airbnb was the first to use it at scale. DJ is first to productize it for everybody.
Mhm. Like when it comes to server driven UI overall, it's again, as you said, it's a paradigm. Can it be made a standard practice in the longer run? Because I've seen that I think a lot of developers would love this idea. Like for example, even if you're a single developer and you understand full stack, maybe you are developing Django with backend and you have a okayish understanding of backend. Can you develop this kind of server driven by yourselves?
uh, let's say end-to-end platform building in-house, as I said, it will take good amount of time, money, and expertise to do so.
Mm-hmm.
It will take, yes, technically you can build any software yourself. It's just a matter of what is the cost that you're going to pay. So in order to build a good decent quality structural server driven UI framework, it will take you time. But if you are only going to introduce that by using templatization on one of the screens, go ahead. Please go ahead. Example, if you have a very high frequency changing home screen, please make it server driven UI
Mm-hmm.
based. But if you're going to introduce new screens rapidly and you want to build that framework,
Mm-hmm.
individual developer will face a difficulty. A decent high expertise team can build it in couple of quarters to make it ready at least for their organization, to make it available for every other use case. That is where we come in. How do we
Mm-hmm.
standardize for every other use case, uh, every kind of app, that entire horizontal platform? Because now
Mm-hmm.
you need to do whatever the native platforms can do and more.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you need to solve for your developer experience also, because
Mhm,
components will be dragged and dropped on a UI. You will need to see those animations before you ship them out. You need to execute those logic before you ship them out. So that is a very
mhm,
different kind of journey that a company needs to take,
mhm,
which is often not fruitful, because it takes good amount of energy and money out of a company before they see the
mhm,
result. That is why
mhm,
we build Digia, so that companies can
mhm,
do that on day one and leverage that benefit instead of going through this build journey of multiple quarters.
mhm. I've actually like the brilliant idea to as and like harping back to the startup ideas overall. I've seen this kind of trend between startup ideas who actually become profitable is that they sound very simple and they are not actually if you tell these ideas to someone, they eventually think okay, it might not be that great of idea because eventually everyone is actually looking for a Facebook kind of idea.
Yes.
But uh, when you actually have most of the profitable startups or most of the startups who are bootstrapped and are now profitable enough, I think they have the ideas are very simple. They're pretty simple and they make sense. They're not exactly very revolutionary ideas like putting man on Mars, but uh, they work, and that's what my thinking this would be. Um, I've seen like, do you have any like when you started Digi overall, like what inspired you to get this particular idea, like in app
Okay.
development?
So it was based from professional experience actually.
Mm-hmm.
So as a skill, how you build application as your company scale differs. Same happened at a one company where I was leading customer mobile applications, and the same
Mm-hmm.
problems that I talked about become much more blocking for us, and we had to solve it for our primary real estate, which is our home screen.
Mm-hmm.
And we created a dashboard in-house which helped our business team to make changes on our app without doing anything. No
Mm-hmm.
involvement from, let's say, technical team. That is
Mm-hmm.
what we achieved, and
Mm-hmm.
that is when that idea got seeded very deeply, because
Mm-hmm.
when we showcase it to in-house to a lot of folks, um, a lot of people, because they were able to do visual changes and they don't have to worry about, they can see what was going to be shipped for male users, female users, people who
Mm-hmm.
have booked a request then and there, on a let's say desktop dashboard before they're about to ship it. And if they make
Mm-hmm.
this change, submit a request, and some the let's say checker accepts it, those
Mhm.
changes were live. It felt like
Mhm.
magic to them,
Mhm.
for business users. And
Mhm.
even app developers don't have to worry about, okay, hey, we don't have to keep working on home screen for every use case. We have solved for all those use cases, and that is when
Mhm.
this idea got much more deep seated. Hey, people are building it in house. What if we create a raw platform where even individual developer can leverage server driven UI to build
Mhm.
as complex app that he wants, or a large scale company which doesn't has this as a mandate but wants to leverage this immediately to unlock velocity in their company,
Mhm.
can use it. Can we build a very high quality creation framework which
Mhm.
is built on top of server driven UI, which can become this new horizontal paradigm, which can work on any native library. It can work on React Native, Android, iOS, Flutter, whatever comes in future, because this raw paradigm can work on top
Mhm.
of them. If we build that, whoever is using whatever technology that they're currently using their mobile application can become server driven in one click versus waiting for let's say years to get it done internally. So that is
Mhm.
that is when the idea got seeded. We talked to folks for use cases. We realized people were willing to pay if it was of a certain security standard, if it was for certain developer experience, if it was for a particular price range which makes sense to them, if it was something that they were willing to pay at individual level and at company level also. So those kind of discoveries had to happen. Demand was there. So we established demand. We went into build mode. Build mode. We solved the raw technology, and while we did so, through having our design partners, we solved for other questions. That's why
Mhm.
now we are, let's say, almost going out. Soon we'll be out in product hunt. So
Mhm.
that anybody in the world will know that they can become server driven instantly versus simply reading about it.
Mhm. Super interesting. I actually wanted to like get some advice overall with the startup ideas as well, because I've seen that it's very easy to think of ideas that just make, oh, this is a new idea. For example, drinking game app, something like that. You can think of like one night, but does it make sense to actually do that idea? Like, how do you go about thinking of an idea that makes sense to actually work? And how do you have this validation? How do you get that? Because I think talking to the users makes sense, but users would generally say yes, you can. I think I would like that, but will they be willing to pay for it after I build it? So how did you even validate the idea, and how do you even come up with want to?
So okay, if you're looking towards that, um, people will say that they are willing to pay, but they will not actually pay when you demand
Mhm.
it. That will happen.
Mhm.
And one of the things that you will learn if you want to build startup is hearing a lot of
Mhm.
no's, and being okay with it and building it anyway. That is something that you need to build as
Mhm.
internal no resilience. I call it no
Mhm.
resilience. I call it okay.
Mhm.
Be okay with that.
Mhm.
There is no shortcut to get your idea. There is no shortcuts.
Mhm.
It is about try something, see if it sticks when you're starting at least.
Mhm.
See if it scale is a very different problem. So you should not be worrying about will it scale before it sticks. So
Mhm.
it's absolutely okay to try a couple of apps. If they are independent users, understand the pricing that you're going to charge for your product probably will decide how you're going to go in the market. If your product is, let's say, a game where cost of entry is free,
Mhm.
you need to learn distribution mechanism of Play Store and App Store, and you
Mhm.
can do that individually. So it's absolutely fine to build a couple of one app per month and ship it out and see if it sticks. It's absolutely
Mhm.
okay. Do that as a passion if you're passionate. And now cost of creation and time of creation much lower with
Mhm.
AI, much lower
Mhm.
with AI, much lower with AI. So do that. There's
Mhm.
no harm in that because it will bring core competence. It will uh, you will have a lot of no's with people not installing your app, not sticking to your app. Those kind of things will happen, and then you will refine with your next
Mhm.
app. It's absolutely fine in order to keep trying it out. On an average, 2.5 million apps goes on Play Store. People
Mhm.
are doing it a lot, and with power law says only 5% of them are actually used
Mhm.
by decent amount of audience. 95% are people trying if something sticks. So
Mhm.
keep throwing that dart. You never know what will stick. They'll
Mhm.
never suggest not trying it out. Do try it out.
Mhm.
Uh, how it scale is a very different game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that core competence, or can you build that core confidence? Those are two things that you need to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Example, think you have a very fancy idea for lawyers in India. Okay, let's say an app which solves a lot of problem for lawyers, and you get couple of your lawyer friends or your relatives to adopt it, and then you will say, hey, this is sticking. They are willing to pay me 100 rupees a
Mm-hmm.
month. I will take over Indian law system, and I'll take over the so that everybody is there, and we'll make $1 billion out of it. That is the
Mm-hmm.
thought that will come into picture. But
Mm-hmm.
now understand what will it take to actually go that deeper across India, across board in terms of operations. Having those many folks um, on field, having that much money so that you can pay those many folks. Yes, you will scale country by country, city by city. So your operation is your core competence that you're missing. The question will
Mm-hmm.
be: do you have somebody yourself or somebody else who has the core competence in operation,
Mm-hmm.
or this operation is something that you can build yourself?
Mm-hmm.
If those either one of those are not true, you will not be able to scale it.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely fine doing that POC, making a couple of people happy, talk about it, write a very good Medium article,
Mm-hmm.
get those claps, but let it be at that level.
Mm-hmm.
So
Got it.
those are my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm. Like one more thing, I just wanted to know a little bit about, like, I think so there's a middle path where you don't actually have to find a product market fit. You're not actually looking for starting a startup, but rather you're looking for copying something and adding a twist to it. For example, maybe you just make another meditation app and add some kind of extra feature into it that just helps users, and this is a side hustle kind of thing. That's what I think, at least. What do you think about these side hustles when you are trying to, or maybe you are in the job, you have a payday coming and you're okay with it, you don't want to leave the job, you're just there and you're building side hustles with it. Do you like the idea of building that, and what do you think about them in general?
So all good ideas start as side hustles. All good
Mm-hmm.
ideas. That is first.
Mm-hmm.
But all of them will succeed only if you go all in. Not
Mm-hmm.
none of them will succeed. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if you are looking for a magic solution, hey, in 3 months I'll crack this, and it will happen. There's high probability that it will not.
Mm-hmm.
So do try, and especially do try if you're technical, because
Mm-hmm.
cost of entry for you is lower versus somebody who's business first. For them, cost of entry is much higher. They cannot do this higher as well. They might vibe code now, but
Mm-hmm.
and get some traction. Then they might be able to raise money and then hire the folks who can do it. That is the thing
Mm-hmm.
that they will take.
Mm-hmm.
For you, the cost of entry is a little lower. Lower.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely fine to try new products. It's absolutely uh, fine to add more competence and see if something is sticking in the market.
Mm-hmm.
But having a very tight frame around it, ki I will crack it in couple of months. There's a
Mm-hmm.
high probability it will not happen. High
Mm-hmm.
probability it will not
Mm-hmm.
happen. To do because you love it, not because you want something out of it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
If you love it, you will add, you will spend those hours passionately. People will be willing to pay. Example, a meditation app is very standardized, but how, what are the big companies who are out there? Funny
Mm-hmm.
enough, there are all US based.
Mm-hmm.
Headspace, Calm,
Mm-hmm.
meditation as a practice
Mm-hmm.
came from India, but people who made money and who are scaling it up are not from India,
Mm-hmm.
because they understand seeing if something is giving you a signal versus something which will scale is a very different ball game. It's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely okay to build another meditation app and seeing if people are reacting
Mm-hmm.
to it, and then double clicking in terms of user and then adding pricing premium. If that journey is happening, then talk to people who are more experienced if you have something here or not. Not
Mm-hmm.
don't decide yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Have people who you trust and who have gone through this journey. If you have access to founders, that will be the best advice, to go and talk to them. What will it take to scale it, before you jump ship? Before
Mm-hmm.
you jump ship, that would be my 2 cents on this.
Mm-hmm. Actually, like, I have a last question before I stop annoying you around startups.
That's
And
absolutely okay.
like, I actually love the idea of pricing because it seems so anonymous to me. Like, how do you even price app? Like, okay, like 100 rupees a month, 200 rupees a month, 20 rupees a month. How do you decide what kind of like, this is a software product? This might this only takes time to build. How do you actually get to good pricing that helps you, you know, I understand that your employees have to pay and stuff, and that's the base price, that's the base stuff you cover. How much do you actually price a startup product? How do you get into that? I want to know about more about pricing in general.
Sure. There are a lot of pricing elements to it. And one of the mistakes that we also did it was having a cost plus pricing. Okay, this
Mm-hmm.
much it cost us, this much it will cost us at this scale. Let's
Mm-hmm.
price ourselves 30% plus over that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the mindset that we started, and that is now not only something which seems natural when you start.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a mistake that we did. We corrected it, and that is
Mm-hmm.
something mistake you should not do it.
Mm-hmm.
As a precursor, there are a few paradigms for you to look at. What
Mm-hmm.
will customer pay? First is value based pricing.
Mm-hmm.
If a customer is realizing a value, how much value are you realizing, and you capture, you take a percentage of that value,
Mm-hmm.
and that is first.
Mm-hmm.
um, Business models like that are all transactional apps. So you
Mm-hmm.
transfer xyz amount of money through us, and we'll take 0.2%, 0.1%. That is the easiest way to make that model clear. But
Mm-hmm.
it differs a lot, especially in B2B, because you will
Mm-hmm.
be able to bring in more leads. That more leads will bring in more crores of business, and you will not
Mm-hmm.
be able to charge direct crores. You will say, hey, I'll bring in this much realized rate. How much
Mm-hmm.
people will go deeper in the funnel based upon step number one? These are my take rates. Step number two, these are my take rates, because
Mm-hmm.
this is based upon the value that you're bringing for your customers.
Mm-hmm.
That is step number one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Step number two, different kind of model will be your classic model, which
Mm-hmm.
is play around with pricing. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know what will. Nobody knows what will work. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
pricing is the truth seeking exercise. That is what I call
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Pricing is a truth seeking exercise. What you are building, what is the real truth in terms of customers who are willing to pay for it. Customer always want things cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
faster, more
Mm-hmm.
reliable. Always. That is how customer will want it. They will
Mm-hmm.
always want this. This is always true for humans.
Mm-hmm.
You need to discover what is they are comfortable paying if you were not there. If you
Mm-hmm.
were not there solving for that problem, how much it will hurt them. That is the exercise that you need to take through
Mm-hmm.
experiments and, let's say, communications.
Mm-hmm.
If you have skilled a little bit, doing pricing experiment makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
By having differential pricing based upon various segmentation and
Mm-hmm.
playing around with macro experiments till you land, and then you see a right drop off, and you have a right conversion metric in place. That is something
Mm-hmm.
that you have scaled. But once you are
Mm-hmm.
starting up, let's say like you want to start up, you don't know what is there. So
Mm-hmm.
always communicate 2x of the price that you're normally uncomfortable asking for. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say if you're, let's say, pitching, Hitesh is pitching a podcast hosting software to me, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and in your mind you will see, hey, this is xyz, those other people are there. You don't know, so you ask for that discovery, hey, have you used podcast software? Because if I
Mm-hmm.
use podcast software, I already know the pricing which is standardized. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
benchmarking you against those software, and what is the new value that you bring in.
Mm-hmm.
If I have not used podcast software, I'm a young content creator
Mm-hmm.
who has scaled. I want to go in podcast really fast. I'm looking for something which is stable, reliable. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to start off with, and I'm okay paying off as I draw more value. Think of
Mm-hmm.
do you are you okay based upon number of views based pricing? That is
Mm-hmm.
first, or you're based upon paying a smaller tier where you get n number of views and you can move up a tier. You need
Mm-hmm.
to do these discovery. So tier-based pricing work, raw usage-based pricing works, raw
Mm-hmm.
ticket-based pricing work. You need to do this discovery in your early calls. And once you
Mm-hmm.
have scaled to level two, then that is when you can unlock experiments. Because at level three, which is large scale, pricing is so standardized, it
Mm-hmm.
can be make or break for your company.
Mm-hmm.
Example, something as trivial as for HUL,
Mm-hmm.
dropping price of toothpaste by 2 rupees can destroy their quarter level P&L.
Mm-hmm.
So that those exercises are very difficult. Then you can do experiments at level two. Level one, you have to do discovery by
Mm-hmm.
throwing uh, different questions when you're having this communication with your let's say prospects, or if
Mm-hmm.
you're a little deeper, your product is out there, playing around with micro experiments based upon how users are behaving and seeing how
Mm-hmm.
they're reacting to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a discovery exercise. There is no one answer to it. You have to
Mm-hmm.
discover the truth, which is very unique to your idea or your company.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Like this is the section where I stop with the startups. I actually want to know more about Digia in general. Like, what's the next for Digia? Like, what are you planning? Are there any new features coming along? As you
Sure.
said, there are already like native SDKs that might drop soon. Uh, what are the other things that you're planning?
Sure. So first thing that we're launching soon is, you might have used or experienced Figma.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We are bringing the same kind of developer experience for native mobile application,
Mm-hmm.
which is the same form factor, same breadth of zooming in, seeing the pixels, going in deeper in the journey. That is the first base. This we call as our base, and this base took us good amount of time to build of that high quality. So this is something that we are launching actually next week itself. So your listeners are happy to try. It's free to try. Once you scale, build something. The pricing is there. Experiments are already there. You will get to
Mm-hmm.
see them. Get to see
Mm-hmm.
them. That is
Okay.
step number one. Step number
Mm-hmm.
two, in the AI world, where we are leveraging AI to solve for this journey even deeper more. Because
Mm-hmm.
what we solve inherently is how do you standardize very custom mobile applications?
Mm-hmm.
People have standardized standard use case. Example, building an e-commerce mobile app is very trivial because journey is trivial. That is,
Mm-hmm.
those are the five steps that you're always going to take: home screen, let's say cart, checkout, and then post order. That journey is not going to change in an e-commerce
Mm-hmm.
world. There are
Mm-hmm.
companies who solve for this. We don't come into and it's absolutely easier to standardize those, make them server driven. Where
Mm-hmm.
we come into picture is,
Mm-hmm.
how do you build a gaming, real money gaming app? How do you build
Mm-hmm.
a fintech app? How you
Mm-hmm.
build, let's say, even an e-commerce app? How you build something in, let's say, 7+1 game, and you make this as server driven? So how do you
Mm-hmm.
standardize non-standardized use case by having a
Mm-hmm.
framework which can scale? That is what
Mm-hmm.
DJ does.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that we're launching. And
Mhm,
in order to do so, there are various aspects in the developer life cycle that they
mhm,
have and they need help with. Example, you
mhm,
will always get Figma or XYZ design parameters, and you need to recreate those again in natively.
mhm,
Correct?
mhm,
That is step number one that we are solving through AI, which
mhm,
is, can we import designs from Figma, give developers a starting point so that their cold start is even 90% lesser now.
mhm.
So
Got it.
example, imagine a Flipkart's example where you have a home screen and you don't have to even create 90% of that home screen. Your
Mhm,
components are pre-baked in, your values are pre-baked in, your page is ready to use, your API is integrated. Now you're going as a developer and fixing it up, polishing it up.
mhm,
So
mhm,
that is something that you're doing. So your time to market reduces even further.
mhm,
So that is step number one, which is Figma
mhm,
to Digia AI that we're launching. Then we're
mhm,
going to launch another agent which is deeper in the tool. You might have heard of vibe coding tools where you
mhm,
write a prompt and you get output. That is not the
mhm,
approach that we are using it with our first agent.
mhm,
On the tool itself, you can write to create a grid view. This is my
mhm,
curl command. Take this curl command, and this is my design using the same baseline. Marry them, marry them, and give me an output. So you can
mhm,
give this, and you can give screenshots. You can do XYZ. You can give web and convert this to web. All those kind of prompts will come into picture. So the developer
mhm,
can unlock more value in terms of creation, not only directly from importing from Figma. And then developer can leverage this agent to ask questions also. Hey, how do I do this? How do I
mhm,
write this kind of logic? How do I solve this? How do I debug this? Those kind of conversation will come into picture. This will
mhm,
help core agent become much more powerful. Then we launch the vibe coding world of, hey, build me an app like XYZ, use this as
mhm,
a design, uh, and it will be supportable. Because in
mhm,
order for something to work from AI,
mhm,
first it has to work from API.
mhm,
And we have built that raw infra from ground up at agent.
mhm, mhm.
That is the journey that we're going to take in next 4 quarters.
Super interesting stuff. I would love to use Digia someday, and I think so. Like actually fast scaling the, because I don't think so developers want to design the screens anymore. They want to architect the apps now. They are considering how to actually optimize the performance. They are not considering more into how to make the screen even more beautiful, because that's just secondary for them, as now AI becoming much more powerful. So I think so the core components become much more stronger, and I think so Digia also serves there, that we already have a screen from the AI. Now we can just quickly integrate it and try to optimize it for performance, try to optimize the screen and quickly ship the product as quickly as possible. And yeah, I actually wanted to ask one more advice. Like this would be uh, like a core advice that I wanted to ask. That you are a tech founder, right? And if somebody is out there and wants to get this advice, like I want to get into tech founding, or maybe I want to get into startup. What's your one piece of advice that you want to share to someone who wants to get into tech in general?
They want to start in tech. Okay,
Yeah.
if they're young and they want to start in tech, the barrier is absolutely much more reduced now to learn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there is a cost which has come with that, which is quality has also dropped in
Mm-hmm.
people
Mm-hmm.
especially people have stopped to do critical thinking in a tech world also,
Mm-hmm.
which is good for creation, but it's
Mm-hmm.
bad for their long term personal sustenance.
Mm-hmm.
So do the hard things first.
Mm-hmm.
Do the hard things first. Build things yourself from scratch before you're going to leverage AI.
Mm-hmm.
That is my first advice for them.
Mm-hmm.
Example, I have a sister who is currently doing a second cousin who's doing an engineering. My first advice was not to build an output of a
Mm-hmm.
mobile app through GPT or XYZ cloud code. It was to do it yourself through the painstaking way of
Mm-hmm.
writing those commands one by one.
Mm-hmm.
Because once these things break,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of hallucination which happens
Mm-hmm.
as of today in vibe coding,
Mm-hmm.
which you will not be able to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Your core competence is much lower. If your core competence is I can write commands, that that core competence can be done by somebody else. You have no core competence in engineering.
Mm-hmm.
To
Mm-hmm.
build that core competence first, understand why denormalization is important or normalization is important. What are the risks for them? Do it themselves, see it scale,
Mm-hmm.
then only ask your AI to make that database connection yourself. Because
Mm-hmm.
if it makes a wrong call and you don't have that core competence, you will not
Mm-hmm.
be able to fix it, and you will,
Mm-hmm.
and there is no chance you're going to build a career out of this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll vibe code my career. Doesn't happen in
Mm-hmm.
tech. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so you cannot vibe code your career.
Mm-hmm.
Build core competence. That is step number one. Do your studies really well. If you're a young person, if you're somebody who is scaled up and looking for a challenge,
Mm-hmm.
and you are sure that you don't have a right idea, but you have the right mindset that I want to do this. I'm clear to risk couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Question would become, how do I find the right co-founders then?
Mm-hmm.
First
Okay.
level is in your close circle, people who are equally passionate,
Mm-hmm.
and have the same integrity. Understand their competence can be lower, integrity cannot be lower,
Mm-hmm.
because once if you have something of value,
Mm-hmm.
integrity will get checked, and
Mm-hmm.
if there is a lower integrity in some shape and form, your 2 years will get wasted. There are
Mm-hmm.
programs which solve for this actually.
Mm-hmm.
There is one in India called as Antler. Antler has a
Mm-hmm.
co-founder program. It's a
Mm-hmm.
3 month residency.
Mm-hmm.
Do apply for it. They have rolling window batches around the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good program where they pair you up with good folks who might have idea, might not have idea, have the core competence, and do this co-founder matching. That is first.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, from SF, there is a YC co-founder find program. You can
Mm-hmm.
apply for there also, but
Mm-hmm.
for practical purpose, Antlers India program is
Mm-hmm.
much more suitable for you, because you have to move to Bangalore for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
uh, they give you basics to take care of, but the finance and logistics will work much better in India, and the
Mm-hmm.
program is of high quality. And if you find the right co-founder there, zero in on the right idea, Antler funds you also very well. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of problems get solved, then onus will be on you to really build something of value. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the kind of journey that you can take if you're scaled up.
Mm-hmm.
Else else being part of a lot of tech and business first communities helps us
Mm-hmm.
by having the by connecting with people who have the right mindset. Example,
Mm-hmm.
next time Hitesh comes, you come to me and let's explore an idea. Now I'm much more willing to share my 2 cents honestly, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing if there is value. Then we'll be doing this deeper exploration of, can we build this together. So
Mm-hmm.
having those soft connection help. So that is those are the journey you should take if you have scaled up.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you're not skilled up, please build your core competence first.
Mm-hmm.
Those will be that would be my two take.
Yeah, I got it. Like I got 2 points from this thing that the idea that I think so Naval Ravikant says it that you have to build a good leverage before doing anything else. And I think so nowadays with the AI, the leverage is not exactly how much code you can write, but rather how broad your knowledge is around software engineering in general. Because if you have a lot of knowledge, you can have a lot more core components and actually integrate them together to build something that you want to, and make it fast enough to actually build some kind of product instead of just vibe coding a simple software. And even if you're vibe coding a simple software and you arrive at certain problem, you will realize that you might not able to solve that problem, and you will eventually delete that whole product and start from scratch again. So that is a big no no for anyone who wants to wipe code. So that's the problem. And as other than that, I have learned that most of the startups fail, not because of their product but because of their co-founders.
Yes.
So I think finding a good co-founder is much larger than finding a good idea.
Yes,
So
because if you have a right co-founder, you will figure out an idea. You will figure out
mhm,
that scale. You will figure out everything else.
mhm. Got it. So yeah, I just want to go on a little bit tangent here and talk about a little about personal finances, investment in general. Like I wanted to know, like when you get your whatever amount you take from your company, how do you divide it in general? Like what amount goes into investment? How what amount goes into your like spending? How do you divide it? Do you have a plan like 50, 30, 60? How do you do that?
Sure. As of today, it goes into paying EMIs majorly. Okay.
Okay.
As of today. So I'll talk about when that was not the case.
Mm-hmm.
This predominantly when I was at a one company. So I have been
Mm-hmm.
disciplined personally. So I
Mm-hmm.
started my investment back in 2016. I didn't invest for a couple of years when I was starting off,
Mm-hmm.
not because I didn't want to. I didn't knew the right framework
Mm-hmm.
back then. Ki how do I actually build something as a disciplined exercise for long, and how easy is that is. And in 2016, where with onset of data, etc., those kind of models became much more easier for people also. um, so my whenever I used to get my payday,
Mm-hmm.
I have already made investments predominantly in direct mutual funds for
Mm-hmm.
multiple years now, and I have
Mm-hmm.
scaled them as my salary grew. Salary
Mhm,
grew, salary grew. Let that compounding happen, because
mhm,
real compounding happens after 7 8 years, and it
mhm,
really unlock. You really have a snowballing effect after 12 years. So I learned
mhm,
that personally, and I believed in that model
mhm,
because I didn't had any other big ticket items to take care of. So I didn't have to worry
mhm,
about that like EMIs until
mhm,
recently.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
until recently. So I did that. I did that for 7 8 years, and while doing so, I tried to learn everything else. So I
mhm,
invested some amount in US stocks, invested some amount in let's say direct stocks in India. I invested some amount in fixed assets, NCDs. So I tried
mhm,
to play around with a lot of models with minimum ticket size. I lost money also. I lost money on I invested in startups also through platform. I lost money
mhm,
there also. But now, let's say if I have to give you a right framework to think about is 30 30 30 33 33 33 33 should go in terms of solving for your future.
mhm,
33 should be there to ensure that your current status is taken care of,
mhm,
and 33 should be something which can help you
mhm,
sustain that is. And before you solve this, then you can play around with this where the cost is coming into picture. So
mhm,
that central 33 can go up. So I invested more than 70% of my salaries also. On some
mhm,
month I have invested less than 10% also,
mhm,
because that it was fungible. So that is
mhm,
the first model, which is sustain and
mhm,
preserve and grow. So those are three keywords that I think of whenever I think of as personal finance. So
mhm,
I lock in my grow first.
mhm,
So because that is the hardest, lock in those grow first. So
mhm,
33% is minimum that you should be saving. Minimum. That is my
mhm,
suggestion.
mhm,
Minimum. Where do you save it? That is a second order exercise.
Mm-hmm.
First, lock in 33% that you're going to save this.
Mm-hmm.
Second would be 33%, which will help you sustain, because there will be emergencies, there will be etc etc. The
Mm-hmm.
liquid fund is the easiest way to start off with.
Mm-hmm.
Lock in 33% in your liquid fund, so that you can use it based upon if your current usage shoots up, or if it
Mm-hmm.
is ideal, you can shoot that up in your investments also.
Mm-hmm.
The liquid fund gives you that flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
And last, obviously, you will need to pay for your rent,
Mm-hmm.
your food, your leisures, and your leisure should come from your sustenance, not from your uh,
Mm-hmm.
bottom funnel. Le-
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you take out from your central funnel
Mm-hmm.
should go either up, whatever is left, if and it will take care of all of your use cases. That is
Mm-hmm.
how I predominantly think of. That is something that I've done for now almost a decade, and that has
Mm-hmm.
helped really in terms of having a corpus um, for every use case, so that I can build my startup in peace. Very simply put.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just ask these questions to like founders in general because, like when you have an idea that you don't have a corpus like big enough to, have like a peace of mind. Because if you are starting a startup, you're leaving a job, you have no idea like how the next payday or next when the next payday will come. Having a corpus will actually give you a big peace of mind. Uh, and I think so. This goes for everyone, even if they're employee or not. And yeah, this was the basics of personal finance I just wanted to know. And yeah, thank you for coming on and giving your advice. Really enjoyed your overview around startups and everything in general. So yeah, thanks. It was great.
It was pleasure being here, Hitesh. Thank you for your time also.
Thank you. Hello, hello. I hope you guys really enjoyed this session. I know some of the stuff around my voice was a little buggy, but I'll make sure that that thing is solved in my next podcast. And hopefully, you guys really enjoyed it for now. And if you enjoyed it, you know what to do: like, share, subscribe. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.